Okay, well, hello, shalom. My name is Arkady Hasidovich, and this is, wait, somebody wrote, oh, that's fine. So my name is Arkady Hasidovich. They say I'm really excited to be here, but this time I'm really excited to be here because I'm actually here on two occasions with my two hats. For those of you who don't know, I'm currently work for the Jewish Agency for the Global School Twinning Network, and we are here to talk about school twinning opportunities for your schools. But also in a month and a half, I'm going to be joining your community as a community shaliach with my family, with my wife, with my two kids, and here and there with my mom, who will be providing the catering and the babysitting services just as we used to here in Israel. So this is a really exciting opportunity for me to speak with you in my both capacities as a shaliach and as a school twinning expert. And I'm also here, joins me Hannah Sirkis Katz. She's our colleague from the partnership unit, and she will be joining the team of school twinning. So Hannah is also here to pitch from her experience and share her experience, and so we'll be co-chairing this. All right, so we're here to talk about school twinning opportunities for your schools. With some of you, I met a couple of months ago, and I offered this option, and the general acceptance of the idea was very positive. So here we are, like doing the next step to elaborate a little bit about the program. So with your permission, I'm going to be sharing the screen with you with a short presentation, and we'll take it from there. So, okay, let's see. Sure. Can I get your thumbs up if you can actually see the Global School Twinning Network slide? Let's see. Charlene, can you see it? Good. Okay. Great. So, School Twinning Network. But before we actually plunge into all the nitty-gritty, let me just ask you a quick question. Does anybody here familiar with that? With these flags, with two of these flags? You can unmute yourself or write in the chat if you are. So the one on the right, the right one, the red one. Can you still see it? Because I moved the screen. Can you still see it? Okay. So the right one is the former Soviet Union flag, the country where I was born, and the left one is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more tough. This is actually the flag of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. It's a small island near India. And the reason I posted here is that actually when I was a student in Moscow in the 80s, we used to have a pen pal program, a twinning program with a school in Sri Lanka. We wrote letters. We never received letters back because God forbid we'll get some communist capitalist ideas from the kids in Sri Lanka. But the reason I mention here it is even after all these years, after all these decades, every time I hear about Sri Lanka in the news, it touches a note, because this is something that I used to have in my childhood, and it's very special for me. And this is really the power of the school twinning program. How does that program how is this program is so successful? We'll elaborate on that in a second. But just to give you a framework, an organizational framework, where I come from, where we come from, and all the parties involved. So just in a couple of minutes, just to get you to give you an idea. So first of all, the Jewish Agency, right? It's a program of the Jewish Agency, School Twinning, and it's a part of the partnership unit in the Jewish Agency. There are 47 partnerships in the Jewish Agency. Partnership is a connection between the Jewish community, usually in Northern America, with a town or a city in Israel. And there are all kinds of exchanges. But the common denominator, so to speak, there are many exchanges program, but almost everybody, what they're doing is actually school twinning. So for obvious reason, like it's a low-hanging fruit, the schools are there are the building blocks of the community, so it's only natural to connect between the Jewish school and an Israeli school. And because there's such a volume of activity in this field of school twinning, many years ago we established a network, a school twinning network, and this is where I come from, which is also part of the partnership unit and of the Jewish Agency. And the idea behind it is to serve as an umbrella organization for all these hundreds and hundreds of school twinnings that are run through the partnerships. And we really have a lot of experience, decades of experience actually, working in the field of school twinning. We currently work with 700 schools, and we're rapidly expanding to triple the size of the network because we just signed a contract with the Israeli Ministry of Education. And this is the reason that I'm actually approaching you, because we now have more resources and more opportunities to engage more schools. And the program really works for all grades. It works from kindergarten, for high school, for middle school, really for all ages. We jokingly say that we have school twinning on all continents except Antarctica, but I promise you that once they establish a school there, we'll be there. I mean, we have school twinnings in very exotic places like Hong Kong. There's a Jewish school in Hong Kong, Singapore. So yeah, so we're really all over the place. And of course, we work with all religious denominations, with Orthodox, Reform, non-religious, religious in Israel, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, day schools and supplementary schools. So it works on both levels. Of course, the approach is a little bit different when we talk about supplementary schools or Sunday schools. And we'll talk about that in a nutshell. So we as a school twinning network, we really consider this whole business of school twinning as an academic discipline almost. We developed twinning educational standards for the program, because one of the pitfalls of this program is that you can actually go all over the place. It's always going to be nice. You can connect with the kids with each other. It's always a great photo opportunity. It's always very touching. But we really want to create and achieve an impact, right, through all the investment that we make in the program, both monetarily and with our hearts and energy and time. So we developed educational standards. We have a website where we collect all the ideas and all the tools and lesson plans. And I'm proud to say that if you Google school twinning, both in English or in Hebrew, Batei Sefer Tuumim, we will be the first result in Google. So obviously we're very proud of that, because we're not the only one who are doing school twinning. And we also serve as a community of practice for teachers and for coordinators who work in this. We also run conferences, develop technological tools for school twinning to kids to interact with each other. And of course, we're also developing curriculum, school twinning curriculum. So that's in terms of the organizational structure. So what is this school twinning is about? Now, I mentioned that we're not the only ones who are doing school twinning. This, for instance, is a huge project by the European Union. It's called eTwinning. They have thousands and thousands of schools sponsored by the European Union. They're doing all kinds of project-based learning programs. There's another interesting example in Northern Ireland. These two students, the left one is a Catholic from a Catholic school, and the right one is from a Protestant school. And of course, as you know, Northern Ireland, after decades of a violent conflict between the Protestants and Catholics, they finally achieved peace about 2 decades ago, but it's a fragile peace. And one of the ways to keep that peace is actually through school twinning. They call it their educational program. And what they do, they put the kids from the Catholic school on the bus, they schlep them to the other side of the street, download them to the Protestant school, and vice versa. And they just exchange students all the time. And of course, the example that I gave you earlier is with my school. Not sure what their goal was with this connection. I was too young to understand politics. But the magic ingredient behind all these programs is what we call the mifgash. And we purposely use the Hebrew or Jewish American word mifgash. And the idea behind it is to create a connection, right? It's an interaction, an encounter between the Israeli students and the Jewish students in the communities. And when we say mifgash, we really mean it in a broader sense. So it can be exchanging delegations, right? It can be what we're doing right now, doing a video conference between the students on both ends. It can be exchanging products. It can be developing a joint presentation on something. And it can be just exchanging something, using some technological tools, and I will elaborate on that a little bit later. But as long as there is interaction, direct interaction between the students, we're happy. That's the engine behind school twinning, and you can really take it anywhere. I mean, for the European Union, they promote joint learning. Northern Ireland, it's maintaining the peace. We, as the Jewish Agency and as Jewish schools and Jewish Federation, this is our overarching goal. Through the school twinning, this is what we're trying to achieve, to strengthen the sense of identity and commitment to the Jewish people and to Israel. And we further break it down into educational standards. So there's a Jewish culture and heritage piece, right? So we want our kids to get a better understanding of their connection to the Jewish people, and we do it through the medium of mifgash, through interaction. This is just a sample page of our standard and benchmarks documents. So, for instance, one of the standards is Jewish consciousness and sense of belonging to the Jewish people, and there are knowledge benchmarks and attitude, behavior benchmarks. So we're really working with this formula. But you know, you can always say, with all due respect to your educational standards and to the Jewish, I'm not necessarily might be interested in that, and that's sometimes we get that attitude as well. I mean, I met a teacher from northern New Jersey, actually, her neighbors, and she was an astronomy teacher, and she told me, well, you know, I'm an astronomy teacher, and with all due respect to your Jewish agency benchmarks and standards, we're doing a joint work with the school in Nahariya about astronomy, which is, we say it's totally fine, because what's beautiful about the school twinning program is its flexibility. You can actually tap into that with your own professional goals. We always say that there are three sets of goals. There's the professional goals of your school. So you might want to, for instance, improve the Hebrew skills of your teachers, and the Israeli school might want to improve the presentation skill of their students. And this is completely fine because you want to attach the goals of the program to the organic curriculum of your school. And of course, there is always shared goals. Of course, we as a Jewish agency and Jewish communities, we also want to strengthen the Jewish identity piece. But there are creative ways to do it, even if you're an astronomy teacher, let alone if you're a Hebrew teacher or a tradition teacher or whatnot. So it's really flexible program. And actually, the key behind a successful school twinning program is not inventing a new project. School twinning doesn't necessarily have to be a new project in your school. We're know and aware that the schools are overwhelmed by programs, by projects, and we really don't want to overburden the teachers and the school. So the idea is actually to tap into your existing curriculum and to your existing scholastic hours, and just add this additional layer of sharing and twinning and exchanging ideas, right? So it doesn't have to be the same subject. It doesn't have to be the same academic or other skills that you want to improve. And there are creative ways to do that. Just to give you an example, from a school, it's a King David school in South Africa that is connected with a school in Beit Shemesh. They created a joint board game. And the story behind it is that for the King David school, they wanted to create board games as part of their general curriculum, not really related to Judaism, not related to their twin school. They just wanted to create a board games to develop logical skills of their students. But because they had a connection to the Israeli school in Beit Shemesh, they said, okay, let's create a board game that designed to teach the students in Israel about South Africa, or about Cape Town, the city where they live. So this is the way they tapped into the program. On the other end, in Beit Shemesh, school Beit Shemesh, they did not want to create board games. This was not part of their curriculum, but part of their curriculum was to kind of get to know your city project, like explore your city. So they took that goal and they said, okay, so we need to explore our city. Let's use the same resource of board games and create our own board games. So each party they joined this program from their own organic goals and curriculum. Of course, you can always use technological tools to create connection between the students. And one of the major issues for all these interactions is obviously, as you might think, the issue of time, right? We have a time difference between Israel and America. I mean, we had to schedule this conference today. It's after 7 here in Israel in the evening, and which means that if you want to create, for instance, a video conference with an Israeli school, it means that the Israeli kids, you need to schlep them back to the school after hours, which is fine. They'll do that. The Israelis, they'll do that. They'll do it a couple of times a year, but this is not something they will be able to do on a monthly basis. And if we want to create an impact, we really want to create something ongoing and continuous. And how we actually achieve that, because again, we have a time difference issue. Well, the solution that we offer is to create what we call asynchronous mifgashim, asynchronous connections that do not happen at the same time. You might imagine a post on Facebook that you responded to, and then somebody else came after a couple of days and they responded to the same post, and then the connection continues. That does not mean that we're going to be using social networks, but that's the idea behind it. So I'll give you a few examples of what can be achieved through these technological tools, because it's not only samples of technology, but it's also kind of give you an idea what we actually mean when we say school twinning activity. What is it that they actually do, the students in the school twinning activity? So let me share this screen with you. So one of the things that we can do is to create ID cards in the beginning of the year. Many schools are doing that. Each kid prepares his own card, but instead of doing something on paper or something maybe in a presentation, we can find a tool that actually allows you to create a unified form, and every kid would enter this platform. And so this student is Hannah Rovner, and these are fun facts about her and her siblings, and et cetera, being Jewish for me. And then you can see all the students on the right side. It doesn't matter which tool we're using right now. I will be giving you examples later, but just to get the sense of what they can be doing. So this is Hannah, and these are the rest of the students in Margolin School and Shalhevet School. And they can click on each other and see their ideas. Another way to connect between the students is through forums, just like any forum that you might know from on the internet. So here, what we do, just for the sake of for the example, this is a Hanukkah activity, a joint Hanukkah activity. We place here 2 YouTube videos, both of the Hanukkah song, one in Hebrew, one in English, one in American English, right? And they're quite similar. The lyrics are quite similar, but not the same. And then we paste the lyrics here, and we simply ask the students, okay, play the videos, read the lyrics, and let's try to compare them. Let's talk about that. And here they start the conversation. So some kids share their ideas, other kids respond, etc., etc. And you have this thread of conversation. So this is another way of creating a conversation. But you might ask, well, what about the language? I mean, here they're corresponding in English or sometimes in Hebrew freely. Not in every school we can achieve that kind of level of language proficiency. And our answer to that, first of all, it's up to the teachers to decide what will be the language of the conversation. So some teachers, they insist that the language of conversation will be Hebrew because they want to strengthen the Hebrew, or the English on the other end. But because most of the connections between the twin schools, they're going to be done not at the same time. So let's say the Israeli classroom, they would enter this activity on Sunday or Monday, and the American class, they will enter the same activity on Wednesday. So there is no pressure to get the language right away, like we're doing right now. When we're doing something at the same time, there's a lot of pressure on the kids to get they're always might be shy, etc., etc. But when time is not of an issue, you can always consult with Google Translate with your teacher. You can always polish your response. So it doesn't solve the language barrier completely, but it does alleviate it to a large extent. So here in this particular activity, the kids, they can actually have a conversation with each other. For younger ages, we can use other tools. We can use tools such as drawing. You can actually draw online, or just draw a picture on a piece of paper and take a picture of it and share it. And so here, for example, it's a famous metaphor about the Jewish people. So the Jewish people are compared to a boat on a high seas, always in trouble, always with the bad weather. And we present this metaphor to the kids, and we offer them to draw their own understanding of the Jewish people. Is it one ship? Are there two ships? The Israelis and the diaspora? Is it many ships? Are they sailing to the same direction? What's the weather in the sea? All these kinds of questions that are kind of deep questions, but kids might find it troublesome to actually answer it in a lengthy way, so they can draw it instead and then share it and then talk about the conversation they had. Another interesting example is this is an activity of Google Maps. Google Maps that you all know. You can actually create a custom-made map. So in this map, this is a map of their family regions. So there are two classes here. The American class, I hope you can see it all right. Charlene, please give me a thumbs up or down if you can see it all right. The map? Okay, just making sure. So you can see, we asked the kids to go to their grandparents and ask them, where are you from originally? Maybe you're also from United States, but where your family goes back like a couple of generations ago. And then they put this flag on the map. So the American flags, they represent the Americans. The Israeli flag represents the Israelis. And then we can have a conversation about the concentration or the spread of the Jewish people. And actually, when you click on these flags, you can there's always like short ID card where you can ask additional questions about the kid, like all community fast fact, etc., etc. Another example is a sticky boards. Like this tool is called Padlet, but there are many other tools. And it really doesn't matter the tools themselves. I will be happy to guide you through as we talk about something more focused. But here, I just want to give you an example of what we actually mean when we say school twinning. So in this activity, the way they structure it here, it's like a youth UN assembly. So each kid represents a country, and they always pick a certain theme. It can be recycling, it can be human rights, it can be all kinds of issues. And they shoot a short video of themselves. They post it here, and then they continue a conversation in the comments. Right, so this is also a great and elaborate way to have a deep and meaningful conversation. So these examples of activity, they're quite elaborate activities. Not all of them have to be like that. Not all of the activities should require a homework and actually going to the grandparents. Here's an interesting and easy way to to engage kids in a conversation. You're probably familiar with the word cloud tool. So in the word cloud, when you input a certain word, if it appears more than one time, and the more frequent it appears, the bolder it would show on this board. So here they ask the kids a simple question: what is Israel for you in one word? You can come spontaneous to your classroom. So if we can imagine, for instance, a Sunday school, no homework required, of course. Just come as you are. When we hit you with this question, what is Israel for you in one word? And so this is the answer of the kids in the American school, and we always place them together. And this one is for the Israeli school. So you can always compare which words appear bolder, which words are a little bit more seldom, and which words do not appear at all. So this is also an interesting way to engage kids in conversation. So I gave you this overview not to overwhelm you with an abundance of tools, and there is really an abundance, just to showcase what we mean when we say school twinning. But you might say, that's beyond me. Just give me something ready, and I'll run with that. And we have that. We developed a library of lesson plans and activities in a variety of Jewish identity related themes: holidays, Holocaust, bar mitzvah, ecosystems, etc., even STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We also have programs on that. So this is also a great way to connect to Israel from strength. So just to give you an idea. Now let's talk tachlis, as they say in Hebrew. Let's talk to the point. So now we have signed an historic and really a strategic agreement with the Israeli ministries of diaspora and the Ministry of Education in Israel. They are really pushing toward getting the Israeli kids to know with the fact that there are Jews outside of Israel, and really getting to know them. And one of the ways they do that, they actually through us, they approached us as partners to expand the network of twin schools threefold in 3 years. So it's a huge thing. We're inviting schools to join over, and the program would look something like that. There are a few components. First of all, when we say school twinning, we mean year-long program, right? So ideally we start somewhere. We start now. We find you a twin school now in Israel, and we appoint teachers on both ends who will coordinate the program, and we connect them together, and they have some kind of Zoom conference and some kind of correspondence to outline the school year and the joint programs that they're going to be running through the school year. And then in the beginning of the school year, September or after the holidays, we actually start the interaction between the students. That's the ideal formula, right? And in this particular case, we're narrowing down the age range from 4th to 10th grade. The program within itself, like I mentioned before, it works even in kindergartens, of course, in high school. But the Israeli Minister of Education, since it's heavily subsidizing the program, that's their focus group. But I believe it should be relevant to most of you. And there are three components to the program. First of all, it's a class-to-class interaction. So it's not, at the beginning, it's not the whole school with the whole school. It's not that every kid is engaged on a monthly basis with the school in Israel. You need to pick up a class that will be the spearhead in the program. And we find the corresponding class in Israel. So it's a class-to-class. We do expect about 5 student interactions throughout the year. That's a really minimum. I would say that something like once a month is much more impactful and really worth the effort. Mind you that, again, this is not something that you need to invest heavily in terms of time and of course money. So because there are creative ways to interweave it into your existing curriculum. It's also, so it's a class to class. It's also a teacher to teacher. We want to create connections between the teachers, and we run teacher trainings, 2 or 3 webinars throughout the school year. The webinars are joint webinars, both for the Israeli teachers and American teachers. And we provide ongoing support and facilitation, because we understand that many schools, they join the program with a lot of passion and with a lot of enthusiasm, but you also need to have like a third party that would get up in the morning and own the project, because teachers are overwhelmed, overburdened. There are a lot of projects, and school twinning with all, it's a really fun and meaningful project, but it's not on the top priority list of the teachers, and we understand that. And to make it running, to make it continuous, we provide a professional facilitator or a coordinator that will guide you through the whole process, through the whole year. And we also view this not only as a class-to-class connection. So the class-to-class, they will be engaged like on a monthly basis, or at least 5 times a year. But we also want to make an impact on the entire school community. So for instance, if there's a video conference, so you can invite parents, and you can invite some dignitaries from the community, maybe the mayor on the Israeli end, or the board on your end. You can shoot spontaneous videos about the life of your school and send it to the other end. You can mention the connection with an Israeli school throughout the school year in the ceremonies, etc., etc. So these are three layers: class to class, teacher to teacher, and school to school. So in terms of commitment, what we commit, what we provide you. First of all, we find you the best matching school in Israel. How we do that? First of all, we ask you to fill a questionnaire about your school, in which you provide all the basic information about the school, but also your expectations, your goals, your age range, etc., etc. And according to that, we'll go and look for the best matching school in Israel. Ideally, if you guys as spontaneous as Israelis are, we can start right now. We have a waiting list of Israeli schools who are ready and just waiting for the American schools. But this is our commitment to find you the best school. Again, professional coordinator who would get up in the morning and own the project and be in touch with you and make sure that all your needs are fulfilled. We also provide the materials, all the learning plans, the technological tools, all the tips, etc., etc. There's a whole library of that, and you will have access to that. And we also provide an optional access to a virtual classroom. So we created a separate tool where the kids can interact with each other asynchronously, not like that, just like in the examples that I showed you earlier. You don't have to use it. You can use your own tools, or you can just ask us for guidance. But if you want to make it a little bit more elaborate, so you can also use that. Now, in terms of school commitment, what we ask from you, well, first of all, we ask you to okay the program, to give your blessing to the program. Sometimes now, if we wanna start in the next year, so now we need you to okay the program. There's a minimal participation fee of $500. It is really a heavily subsidized program, both the Ministry of Education, Diaspora, and the Jewish Agency. Highly subsidized program, but we do charge $500 for a year for one pair of classes, and additional $150 for the virtual classroom if you want to use it, but you don't have to. And we need you to appoint a teacher who will be responsible for the program. We estimate that it's about 2-3 hours a month. Maybe in the beginning it will be a little bit more than that. In the middle of the year it will be less than that, but on average it's about 2 or 3 hours a month. And we need some administrative time to spread the word about the connection beyond just the 2 schools. Now, again, the key here, especially, and this is especially relevant for supplementary schools, the key here is not to come up with a new big project. We just examine whatever you have, whatever curriculum you have in place, and we tap into that. And this would probably not require these 2-3 average monthly hours. We can add 20 minutes here, half an hour there for a video conference, and beyond that, you just use your existing Scholastic hours. So this is an overview in a nutshell. That was a lot of a talking because we're in a webinar session. But then on the other hand, we're a very limited group of people. So please, if you have any questions, any concerns, any remarks, we'll be happy to respond. And Hannah, a little bit later, if you can share with us your insights as the director of the partnership, okay, later on. So any questions? But don't forget to unmute yourself.
Hi, Arkady. I wanted to say hi. Sorry I joined a little bit late. I had to go pick up my son. He was sick at school.
Oh, sorry for that.
It sounds wonderful, everything. This program sounds amazing.
Okay, perfect. Any concerns, questions?
When do you need, I mean, Rachel couldn't be here today. She had a meeting, and that's why I'm here. But when do you need the, I guess, approval or the yes? Is it like in the next couple of days? Is it
within a week or so? Because the reason that we, I know it's tough, but the reason we actually need it in a week or so is because we still want to catch the Israeli teachers before they go to vacation. If we don't manage to do that,
sure,
that's fine. We can just resume our efforts in the beginning of the school year. The challenge is, though, is that the beginning of the school year is always hectic, and there are high holidays. So we just don't want to push the program too much into the middle of the year. So if we're spontaneous,
right,
let's try to do it now. If not, it's also okay. We can start after the holidays. Just have a little bit less time through the school year. But the next steps are to okay the program, to fill the questionnaire, to appoint the teacher who is actually going to be in charge of the program, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you. That sounds great.
Perfect. Any more questions, remarks, concerns, blessings?
We can't wait till you come. We're very excited. Kelman Brown's very excited to meet your family.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And get this program
We
started.
definitely get the sense that you guys are all very sincere about it.
We are for sure.
Right.
When will you actually be here? When is your arrival date? That's a good question.
It's August 20th.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of thinking and a lot of stuff to do when I land, especially with that program.
For sure.
Yeah. So
once we give you the commitment, we'll start working right away. We'll start getting stuff.
Yeah. Again, if you guys are speedy and spontaneous, yes, we can provide it on the other end. So, and if not, that's also fine. It's also fine. We can.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, like I said, I don't make this decision, but I'm sure Rachel already has. Once I talk to Rachel, I will get back to you ASAP. If not today, tomorrow, and we will. I know she's very excited about everything, so we will get working on it right away.
All right. So, can we hear from another participants? Any thoughts? Do you think you can do it now or after the beginning of the school year? Any idea? Everybody is shy today. All right. Okay, so Hannah Sirkis-Katz, who joined us today, She has a lot of experience with the school twinning program. She was a director of a few partnerships back in the day, and perhaps Hannah, you can share with us your thoughts from your experience. Hannah,
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I can hear you.
Great. So great to see you. I see you have a lot of business stuff with Arkady. He's still here and there, you know. So as Arkady said, I used to be a director until a month ago exactly. I finished my term as a partnership director. And I had on both my partnerships, I had education, what we call education bridge or twinning. And I would say some things about for you, you know, if you hesitate, if you think about it, if you are not sure. So first thing I can say that like everything in life, we need the Michiganer, what we call the crazy person. And I'm saying it in a good, in a positive term, which means someone who really wants it and will take it, you know, on and will do from it a very meaningful project for the kids. Arkady was talking about interaction between students. So the decision will be made, and he gave many good ideas and projects, but at the end of the day, the decision will be made by the specific partners, since when you take the ownership for something, you will do it the best way. So there are many more ideas. The sky is the limit, and you can do it on your way, which fits the best for your school. And of course, it's the Israeli and American school, but you'll find the way to do it for the best. I want to say some words about added value. If you as a teacher is excited about it, so you're able to move it on and to make the kids or the teens excited about it, maybe you will see now the added value only partially, but or you see it from one angle, but when you start with it, you will see many of it, which is amazing. I can give you one or two examples. For example, one of our schools, and the principal of the school was in Rochester. One of my partnerships is Modi'in in Israel with Rochester, upstate New York. So the teacher was in a teacher delegation in Rochester. Actually, she was the principal. And I was at school with the kids and with their teachers. And suddenly, you know, they were doing the lighting of the candles and they saw their principal over there. You can't believe what it did to the kids over here, you know, looking their teacher there, saying to them, Happy Hanukkah, and being with them, but on the other side of the ocean.
That's lovely.
And
that's
yes, it was lovely, you're right. And, you know, for the kids, for the knowing that you have a friend in Israel, it's very special. And I know more than one occasion when family came to a family trip to Israel, and the kid forced them to come to the partnership city and to the school, meet their friend or their friends. And, you know, then they came, the family for dinner. It was so special. And, you know, when I experienced this, I say, okay, it works, you know,
right.
that the miracle works. So those were I have many more. But I saw during the years, you know, the relationships, the connections between teachers, which made the difference.
That's amazing, because, you know, we have a 2-week trip that our 8th graders go to Israel. That's their end of their, you know, the process, the beautiful process here at Kalman. So what an amazing thing if they would get to go over there and see the school that they've been.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
That's definitely a very welcome option. The Israeli schools, they love to do the home hospitality if you want this as an option. So yeah, that's definitely a great tool.
I love that. Okay, that's wonderful.
Ronit, I saw that you raised your hand. Ronit, do you want to ask something? Oh, you're frozen.
I don't think they can hear you. Why Charlene's muted and so is Ronique can hear you.
Yes, Ronit, let's see. Well, I think the connection with Ronit is really unstable. It keeps freezing. Any more?
I think her microphone's not working, correct? She's typing.
All right. Any more questions from the rest of the participants? So I will be sending you the presentations and all the details in an email, and please feel free to contact me anytime, and we'll just take it from there in your pace, right? So yeah, just like we mentioned, just whatever fits your timeline, we can work with.
That is great. I look forward to receiving everything and speaking to my team and hopefully getting this started.
Perfect. Great. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. That was truly enjoyable. Thank you for having me. Chana, toda rabba. And we'll
Thank
be in
you,
touch.
Anna. Thank you, Arkady. Thank you so much, guys. And we look forward to seeing your family soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.